Because I just wanted to eat candy.
Man, yeah, but do you want to get this started?
Go for it.
Let's get this show on the road.
All right.
Introduce yourself first.
Hi, my name's Julio Sandoval. I work with Alameda Mortgage as a loan advisor.
My name's Matt Beatty. I work with
Keller Williams?
Oh, Keller Williams, Pacific Estates. I'm just messing with you. I'm sorry, office. I was just playing. But yeah, I work with Keller Williams, Pacific Estates, and we're in Long Beach, California. And I'm a realtor, and this is our first podcast / YouTube video together. And we're putting this together to have a resource for our clients and our friends when it comes to real estate, all things encompassing it. And I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and trying to answer some of those questions that we get, where there's a lot of in-depth information, and we want to kind of straighten that out and just kind of provide some different clarification on it, and different topics that I think people struggle with.
Yeah, no, it's a fluid market and a fluid industry, and it's kind of interesting. At the turn of each year, the forms change, the rules change, and it's constantly changing. And so it's good and bad, but it keeps you on your toes, Like I wrote 3 offers last week on the new RPA.
How'd that go?
It looks totally different, but it's the same stuff pretty much. It's really similar.
And it's more simplified. If you look at it that way, it's meant to eliminate confusion because it sections pieces off.
Yeah.
So I understand what the goal was with it, but like anything, when it's new and it's changed, you just got to get used to it.
For sure, absolutely.
And we saw some good stuff happen with loans too. The loan limits went up. FHA announced as of January 1st this year, they're up in LA and Orange County. Loan limits went up to $970,200.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing because you got to think you can buy $1 million property now, single family, FHA with 3.5% down.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, that's a big loan and a lot of buying power, especially with interest rates as low as they are. Like there isn't any other asset that you can buy with 3.5% down. You can't buy stocks and say, hey, I want 100 shares of this and buy them at 3.5% down.
Yeah, no kidding. You're basically really financing. Before it was financing like a $500,000 property, but now, you're able to finance with FHA, and that means those who have credit that hurts a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe there's been some things that have happened in the past, and I get a lot of clients that may have co-signed for somebody who wasn't as responsible as they were, and it just kind of hurts their credit. So FHA provides a really good option for them to be able to consider, financing a property that high, and to get into the market, without so much out of pocket. Because you figure if you're buying $1 million property, that means you could buy $1 million property with, this is taxes, insurance, closing costs, and everything with like $60,000.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
That is. But with that, you have to show like really good income, to cover the mortgage payment and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
of course. You have to have the ability to repay is what they call it. So you have to have the strong capability of handling that mortgage.
Yeah.
So there are things that they've got to take a look at, but we'll talk about that more like when we get through the episodes and stuff, like what those details look like. But I just think it's a really good time coming into 2022 with interest rates being low, loan amounts being high, giving you a lot of flexibility to not have all of that money saved up.
Yeah.
You think, and just kind of date myself a little bit here, when FHA loan limits, when I was first looking at them and first in the business, I want to say it was like 365 was the FHA loan limit in LA County.
Wow.
So you got to think, over time, you're never going to lose on your investment, right? We always talk about this, you and I, when we talk to clients, is that, you look back 30 years ago, that would be now, was that 1992? Property.
92 was 30 years ago?
Yeah, 1992, 30 years ago. So you think about this now, and
I think I had a girlfriend in 1992.
I think Little Mermaid came out.
I think she was.
I don't know why that's sticking in my head. Was it Ariel?
Dude, she's the best of all the Disney princesses.
Oh man, she's hot. But I feel bad for saying that because at the time because
Gingers need love too. Dude.
It was age appropriate at that time. You look at her now.
Yeah.
she's so young. She's like my daughter's age.
Here's the thing about Ariel, though. So the lady who does the voice, I watched the behind the scenes, and she looks exactly like Ariel.
No kidding.
And she aged well. So Walt Disney can still bring her out to Disney World and she can go on the floats and stuff, you know, because she doesn't look like Ursula. She still looks like, you know, still looks like Ariel, dude.
But will anybody really know? I mean, to be honest.
Best singer, too. Best singer of all.
Fantastic voice.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, I would challenge you with Belle on that, but we're going to get off topic on this one a little bit.
We're
moving on.
Okay, this is my ADD brain.
Okay, but think about it. 30 years ago, 1992, you know, in home prices, I want to say were probably somewhere in the 140, 150 range.
Sure.
And it was right before we got into the dot-com bubble stuff that happened towards the end.
Around 2000.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, we've seen a lot that has happened in 30 years from dot-com bubble. We had 9/11. We've had the, you know, Great Recession that we experienced most recently, and then now a pandemic. Like, you're thinking we've had 4 major market changes, and still within that time, it still makes sense to invest in real estate.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who bought a place even 15 years ago. I don't know anybody who bought a place in 2007 that still has it and says, gosh, I wish I didn't buy that house.
Yeah.
You know, because they made a full recovery and then some.
Yeah.
Most people who bought at the top of the bubble have most of their assets, most of their equity is their home.
Yeah.
You know, and even though they bought at the worst possible time in U.S. history, you know, it was a 35 to 50% drop, and they're saying, hey, it's one of the best things that we ever did. We bought it, we hung in there through the hard times, and look at all this equity we have.
Yeah, you're not going to miss out if you invest in real estate. I think like we've talked about it offsets your rent costs. Like if you're renting right now, it gives you tax exemptions for your property tax and mortgage interest.
Sure.
You know, flexibility to be able to fix things and make it your own. But appreciation over time. You know, and it being a fixed rate loan scenario is so much different than what we saw in 2007 and 8.
Sure.
You know, everybody was getting these adjustable rate mortgages.
Yeah.
With a fixed rate product, you have something you can depend on every single month. You know, for the next 30 years, your loan's paid off. You have the house, it's yours. If you did nothing else, if you didn't refinance, if you didn't try to access your equity, in 30 years, you wouldn't have that mortgage that's holding it over your head, keeping you from retirement.
Do you know anybody that's actually paid off their house?
I do.
How much
Actually,
animosity do you have towards them? How jealous are you of people who are just paying property taxes?
Jealous
at this
and
point?
totally envious. Totally envious.
I'm just angry with them, you know,
my
because like they're
gosh.
better than me in every way.
Oh man, I tell my clients I want to be like you. Like, how do I be like you? You are amazing, because it takes so much to have to pay something off.
That's right.
Oh, and then
That's
I've got clients that have investment properties that they've paid off. So it's like, you know, it's like,
yeah, you don't want to turn your back around me, dude.
no. But all right, so I mean, listing properties, I think, has got to be a challenge for people nowadays, though, because I mean, I'm going to throw this at you. You know, yes, appreciating market, great real estate, but I think we, since 2017, have noticed that we've had a struggle with inventory since 2017.
Yeah.
And it's always been, you know, feeling comfortable to sell your property, knowing that you have somewhere to go and that you have something that's worthwhile to buy.
And you really hit the nail on the head there. It's like, yeah, I can sell my house, but where am I going to go? I'm going to jump into the same struggle that buyers are in now, you know, up against multiple offers, bidding wars, and what have you. And so there's a couple things about that. There's the listing contingent. I'm seeing that more and more, and it's like sellers say, where do I go? And you don't go anywhere unless we find your up leg, you know? And so your sale is completely contingent upon you finding a home that you love, that you're gonna be happy with, and you're happy to move from your place into this next home. And if you don't find that place, you know, within a reasonable amount of time, most buyers are patient in this market, you know?
Well, that was going to be the next thing I was going to say. I mean, you have to find a patient buyer who's willing to work with you, right? Because, you know, it's hard for the buyer to get a property.
Sure.
Okay. But you also need somebody who's flexible enough to work with you as you go find your own.
Yeah.
Because you have to know what you're going to net from this, right? You got to know what you're taking away from this, and what are you going to put it to, and understanding your own numbers
Yeah.
through this all.
Yeah, and that really harkens more towards your side of the business. For me, I'm just out there, like a honey badger, looking for the up leg,
Yeah.
and just like and just spending hours and hours searching the market, knocking on doors, talking to people in the communities that they're looking to move into, and trying to create this opportunity to execute on their ultimate goal, which is transitioning into a place that suits them better. Which kind of rolls really well into what we wanted to talk about today, is people 55 plus or disabled or victims of natural disasters. They have this really good opportunity to not only move and purchase a new home, but maintain their tax base and not actually pay more out of pocket per month when it comes to their state and federal taxes.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at Propositions 60 and 90. Those are probably the two that stand out the most. That was capping those that are older from being able to make the move, because it would limit them at 105 to 110% of the current value. So let's give you an example. If you have a house that you were selling for $700,000, you essentially couldn't buy a house that was worth more than $735,000.
Sure.
Right? So you couldn't get into something bigger. And knowing this market, you didn't necessarily want to go sideways. I mean, you have people who are downsizing their property and would like to get into the beachfront condo situation. But to be honest, if not everybody's looking to downsize. Like maybe you're looking to get into something that's a little bit more expensive, but you wanted more of affordable payment.
Or closer to the water.
Yeah. And Proposition 19 does help you with that, because it takes it so that you can move anywhere in the state of California, one. So this is not limited by county. And then also it allows you to buy higher in your purchase price and transfer a large portion of your tax base with it.
Yeah.
What they do have with Proposition 19 is that the difference of, let's say, 105% of what you sell at to the current, purchase price that you go with. So let's say you sell at 7 and you buy at $1 million. Your tax base is going to be based off of, your original tax base.
Yeah.
And then anything above the 735, that 105%. That then does get added onto your new tax base going forward. So you have to keep that in mind. It's not going to be like, tax base to the next, but it's going to be so much different than what somebody would come into buying it at the $1 million themselves.
Yeah, so you're just paying the difference. So hypothetically, if you sell your place for $735, you transfer that tax base into your new place. Let's say you sold your place at $735, you buy your new place at $935. To keep the numbers simple, you're just going to be paying the new assessed tax on the difference, which would be the $200,000.
Correct. Yeah. So if we say that 1.25% is what we use as a standard, that 200,000 times that 1.25% could put you at another 2,500 or 2,500, 2,500 more over your current tax base. So if you're paying $5,000 a year, you'd now be paying $7,500 a year.
Yeah. And
so
that's a really, really cool program.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's cheaper. Like I said, if you were to buy $1 million property now, that tax base would be somewhere at about almost $11,000.
Yeah.
Where you're getting away with $7,000 in the tax base.
Sure. Yeah. So that's Prop 19. And then another really cool thing about Prop 19 is you don't have to do it right away. So you can sell your place and go and stay in your son's basement for up to 2 years, and then take your tax base with you.
Correct.
So you don't have to do them, all in one transaction. Your sale and your purchase. You can sell your house, go and look for up to 2 years, and keep that tax base to transfer to the new property.
Yeah, the important thing to note is it does have to be on primary residence, so it's your principal residence. So that you have to make sure that you kind of keep in mind. But other than that, no, you have a lot of exclusions and opportunities there, and it's worth taking advantage of. If you're thinking about downsizing, maybe you have a large property that you'd like to move away from because you have an empty nest. There's less kids in the house. So there's opportunities and options out there
Yeah.
that make it available to you to be able to make a move without really incurring a lot of expense.
Absolutely.
On the monthly.
I know so many people who, still have the same property that they had in 1985 when the place was full of kids. They've got all these bedrooms that they don't use, and they've really just become like a burden on them, because they have to maintain this really large space. But when you get to a certain age and you're talking about knee replacement and all this stuff, you don't want to be climbing up those stairs. You don't want to be, responsible for maintaining this big place. It's better to get something that's manageable and think about traveling.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because a lot of clients that I meet that are looking to downsize or move it's because of stairs and because of low maintenance on the property itself. You think about if you got a huge yard or an area that you can't manage so much anymore, then it makes sense to take a look at moving.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind too is this also does the parent-to-child transfer, Proposition 19. So I guess we'll touch on that next time and just kind of talk a little bit more about that. So if you ever want to transfer a property to your to your kids, how to do that. Proposition 19 also encompasses that. So
awesome, man.
We'll look at that next time.
Looking forward to it. So we're planning on doing 2 of these a month over the next 12 months?
Yeah. I think it'd be worth it just to kind of bring up all different concepts and things that people want to hear. So, if you're out there and you have some things that you want to know about and topics you want us to address, it'd be great to hear from people and see what they're looking for.
Do you think we could just do a whole episode on Ariel?
I think so. But
awesome.
I think it's going to be Ariel versus either Belle or Jasmine. Jasmine's hot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, they've definitely got we're going into this. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Bye.
Cool, man.
What'd you think?
That was awesome.
I loved it.